to the PC Gaming Weekspot, your recap of the last 7 days in PC video gaming. My name is Colin Mahern, and joining me this week, I'll never look into your eyes again. Can you picture what will be so limitless and free, desperately in need of some stranger's hand in a desperate land? It's the one and only Mr. Matthew Castle.
Hello.
Hello, Matthew. Not really a cultural reference this week. Well, it's cultural reference from, I should have checked, when did that song come out?
That's a song?
70. Yeah, it's This Is the End.
I thought that was a Wordsworth poem.
It's This Is the End by The Doors. Well, Jim Morrison was a bit of a poet, yeah, indeed. Yes, it felt appropriate. This is indeed the end, the final PC Gaming Weekspot. And we've plenty of burning questions to get to later on in the show. People have been very nice. Thank you very much. And I have a little surprise as well. Well, it came in late last night. You'll see when we get to burning questions. But yeah, the PC Gaming Weekspot. Where are people going to go to get their news and their reviews of all the latest games? It's because this is obviously an original, unique concept that nobody else does. So I have no idea where people are going to go. Lost.
Nobody does it better. I actually saying that. I was
Here are five that do about.
No, that's still true. I not saying that. Nobody does it better. No, wait, it's shit. That wasn't where I was going. Where I was going was I was contemplating wearing the tux a la James Bond.
Oh.
But horribly, I stopped wearing it.
Yeah.
Earlier in the run because I hadn't washed it and it was disgusting. I still haven't washed it. So it was just as disgusting. I mean, the shirt it's like literally gone sort of like, it looks like it's been dipped in tea. It's so rank. So I can't do that.
That's okay. We wouldn't put you through that.
It would have been good because of the whole No Time to Die as well. It would have been neat. But
it would have been. But people can imagine it. A Gwent t-shirt is just as good.
A promotional Gwent t-shirt. Well, that's the other thing I wanted to say is that, because this is shutting down, I'm now becoming a professional Gwent esports player.
Ooh.
Thus my Gwent t-shirt, sponsored by Rennie.
Of course. Yeah. Well, all the best with that. That'll be exciting to see your journey. Go on then. I suppose it is the biggest thing in the last week. Have you seen James Bond? Obviously. What did you think? It's getting like 5-star rave reviews from the critics. Does it live up to the hype?
Yeah, I really liked it. It's really entertaining. I can understand why a load of people who went to a room full of celebrities and watched that film came out and gave it 5 stars in terms of it's got big laughs, it's quite exciting, it's got some quite big nostalgia beats for people who are super into Bond. So you can come out and be like, yeah, I feel pumped. Maybe like give it a bit of time to cool down. And it's, I don't think it is a 5-star film. It probably just about scrapes a 4 for me. I liked it.
Is it the best of Craig's run, do you think?
No, I would say, like, I really, really... I don't think he's made one film which is, like, all the way through exactly what I want.
Right.
Which is how I felt about Casino Royale and Skyfall as well, which are probably the other 2 better ones he's done. But I'd kind of put it in with them. It's another very entertaining, if slightly uneven. The action is much better in this one than it's been in the Sam Mendes ones. Like, the car chases are actually pretty good.
Do you like going forward? I feel like we've gone through like the next Bond about 9 times on this podcast before, so we won't do that. But do you want Bond to continue to be a sort of, I don't know, a grittier, kind of more Jason Bourne-like, or do you want it to revert back to not pigeons double taking, but do you want it to be
That's all I want. I want the villain to be a double-taking pigeon.
Do you want it to be do you think it should be a bit campier? Should they sort of...
Yeah, well, this Weirdly, this one is a bit more like that.
Oh,
I actually think this is a bit more traditionally Bond. Like there's like a proper Bond villain layer, and it's like very old school kind of just a preposterous place where he lives, and he's kind of walking around doing his weird kind of "I'm a villain" kind of monologues, which is what I liked about it actually. Yeah, I'll be really intrigued to see what they do next with it, because obviously it'll be a new Bond, and these last few films have kind of been defined by the kind of continuation between them, which was sort of the new thing for Bond. And obviously there won't be any continuation because it'll be a different bloke. So we shall see. Silly Bond's all right by me though.
Yeah. Give me those double take.
This isn't the James Bond week spot though.
It's not. That's actually what we're going to be. We're going to be starting that next week. We're going to be rewatching.
We're launching that Patreon right after this show.
Right then, let's Matthew. Oh, it brings a tear to my. Could you grab your news crank and open your gob? Because I indeed have. Open your gob. Grab your news crank. Open your gob.
Oh, sorry.
I have some information snacks for you.
Info snacks for his gob.
You were living in the moment there, appreciating, really taking in.
Yeah, sorry. I forgot this is the last time I'm ever gonna crank it on air.
So
to speak.
We can get bawdy this week. What are they going to do?
That's for OnlyFans.
So, I say we're a Patreon and an OnlyFans is what we're doing. So the first information snack I have for you, Matthew, is that the GTA Remaster Trilogy is all but confirmed, essentially now, because in the last week, someone spotted that the South Korean ratings board stuck an age onto what is being called the Grand Theft Auto, The Trilogy, The Definitive Collection, snappy title. And Take-Two said to investors as well during a Q2 earnings report that there are, quote, iterations of previously released titles on the way. And Kotaku also said that the plan is to launch in November of this year. So if it's happening in a month's time, they'd want to announce it pretty quickly, wouldn't they? Yeah, it doesn't really matter. It's going to sell and,
Well, that's it, unless it's one of those, and you can get it right now. It's not, you don't think that'd be like a Game Awards announcement?
That's December, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay, probably not
it mightn't be November. They might push it to...
And you can play it right now. I love it. I love it when people do that.
As do I. Was it it was the Saturn. It was the Saturn where they, which is one of the, is it the only console? Where
you can play the Saturn right now.
Yeah.
And 1,000 people shrugged in unison.
I think that actually, whilst it was a cool concept for a console to just be out right there and then, I think it actually caused shipping issues for them, and it didn't really work out in the long term. Well, obviously enough. Something else that isn't working out, Matthew, eFootball 2022, which is the new PES that doesn't have the Pro Evolution Soccer name. It has become the worst reviewed game on Steam, and it did so only a day after its launch, which is pretty impressive. Did you see the images? I'm sure you did, of Messi and Ronaldo and all the lads with just very odd contorted faces.
Yeah.
Very strange. And some of the crowd shots as well. I know, it's like a racing games and sports games. You're not going to put all of your efforts into making the crowd look pristine. But some of the shots from this are quite atrocious.
Yeah, it looks rotten. It's also, I kind of hate the kind of meme pile-on that happens with some games, because it gets to the point where you don't know how much of it is actually legit and how much of it is just people taking a pop because it's the funny thing to do. And with these games, there is always the sort of the phase that comes later where people are like, well, actually, it wasn't great, but it wasn't. There's a huge difference between a 1 out of 10 and a 5 out of 10. And it feels almost pointless to argue that difference because no one buys a 5 out of 10, in games, really. But I've seen a couple of people say, actually, underneath all the bobbins, there's a reasonable game of football to be had, or they agree with the general direction of it. But unfortunately, the internet has just decided now, like, this thing is doomed and cursed no matter what. And what the internet wants, the internet gets. But yeah, it's like Mass Effect Andromeda and Assassin's Creed Unity. It's just slow
No Man's
news
Sky.
day. Let's post some pictures of some diabolical looking footballers. I don't know why I'm defending it. I don't really give a shit about it.
Here's something.
Like, as someone who, for the last year, part of their job has been to go on Steam and look at the reviews a lot. Like, I know that a lot of Steam reviewers are like dim and not to be trusted. So,
Correct. Correct.
Any story which is like, this is happening in Steam reviews, it has to be taken with such a mountain of salt, because that tells you nothing about reasonable human beings.
My opinion has definitely been coloured as well by finding 3 different Steam reviews every week, because often, because even like you say, the internet about, they see everyone piling on. So, and I don't know, maybe psychology experts would say, well, that's just the human condition. We're all nasty bastards in our hearts, and we all pile on. But yeah, Steam, like the Steam reviews, or the user review section of Steam is similar. So I don't know.
It's probably worse. It's actually made me lose a little bit of faith in humanity doing mystery Steam reviews.
100%.
So,
but yes, Matthew, here's something you would be interested in. I'm guessing, hopefully. So Tokyo Game Show happened as well in the past week. A few little tidbits here and there coming from it. One I saw from Xbox's showing was that Phil Spencer sat down with Shinji Mikami, legendary developer, and Mikami told Spencer that Tango Gameworks, the developer of the upcoming Ghostwire Tokyo, is already working on their next game. And Mikami mentioned that the Evil Within 2's director, John Johannes, is working on it. Now, I know we've kind of mentioned before about, like, in essence, what does... It's harder to get a read on things when somebody says, oh, the director of this game is going to be working on this game. Because unless they are sort of your auteur type, it's harder to kind of see what shape this new game is going to take. But I don't know, this could be an Evil Within 3. Would you be on board with that, or would you like to see something new? You like the Evil Within 2,
yeah,
though,
I do.
you?
Yeah, I'd happily see him do something new. Like, I like the Evil Within. I liked Evil Within 1 more than 2. But I like their survival horror, but I don't have a particular attachment to that fictional universe. I don't feel like you need to revisit it. I think if I remember correctly, Evil Within 2 wraps it up pretty kind of conclusively. So
does it? Okay.
It's not like it's not like we're hanging on like what's going to happen next. Yeah, it's a really interesting thing. I don't know if you watched that. There was that really good pair of YouTube documentaries, interviews with Shinji Mikami.
Yeah, I didn't see them, but I heard about them.
Is it Archipel? I think it's called. They're a YouTube team out in Japan, and they do these amazing, quite artful interviews with Japanese developers. I think it's Archipel, Archipel. And they did a couple with Mikami, and a lot of it is about like his role and not the conflict, but the challenges of being like quite an iconic game development figure, and whether you're just getting lots of, whether you're building a team of interesting minds just to sort of march to the beat of your drum, or to kind of encourage them to do their own thing. And, Ghostwire Tokyo, he saw this as this isn't a project I'm necessarily leading. Like, this feels like it's come more from my team, which is the place I want to get to, where the Evil Within felt like the team kind of doing the Mikami thing again.
Right.
So I'd kind of be surprised if they did just lean heavily into, here's another Resident Evil 4 style survival horror game. Because it felt like that isn't where he's at and where that studio's at. Unless having kind of done a bit of a wild swing with Ghostwire, they want to just do something a bit more obviously fan pleasing, which could, always happen. But
maybe
it's definitely they are within the, all the studios, but Microsoft now owns through Bethesda. They're definitely one of the teams I'm more excited about seeing what they do next. I've liked their games, their 2 games so far.
And the final info snack I have for you is that over the last week it was revealed that Netflix have bought Oxenfree developer Night School Studio. Co-founder and studio director Sean Crankle said, quote, "The Netflix team has shown the utmost care for protecting our studio culture and creative vision. We'll keep making Oxenfree 2. We'll keep cooking up new game worlds." Not a Bethesda level acquisition from Netflix, but a notable one within the indie space. And I could see how the games that they make, Night School Studio, like an Oxenfree, would sit well within a Netflix. I don't know, we've spoken before about could you have a Witcher 3 type? I don't know, but they've done Bandersnatch. They did the Bear Grylls thing that I can't remember the name of.
Can you survive
something like that? Didn't they do a separate to Minecraft story mode, or was it Minecraft story mode? I'm sure they did a Minecraft.
I think they did a interactive movie version of Minecraft story mode. Yeah.
So I could see how a game like Oxenfree would sit well within Netflix, but again, the Netflix games stuff is still kind of up in the air a little bit.
I think Night School Studio did a tie-in for Mr. Robot.
Oh.
So, on a crude level, maybe someone, thinking, oh, here are people who know how to kind of play nice alongside episodic stuff. Because that would make even more sense.
Yes.
It's you like Stranger Things. Here's a text adventure about, the guy with lovely hair, whatever his name is.
Steve. I'm well impressed I remember that. Yeah. That's coming back soon, isn't it? I hope it's the last one. I feel like
next year, I think.
Oh, is it? Oh, I thought it was this year. The well is run dry a bit with Stranger Things. But yeah, anyway, those are your information snacks for this week, Matthew. So shut your gob and then open it wide again, because please come in and try to compose yourself, Huw Edwards. Don't cry. Deliver the lines as you are contractually obliged to. Take it away, Huw.
Hello, I'm Huw Edwards. Working in news is exciting.
Yes, thank you very much, Huw. Ever the professional, in fairness.
Did you see his blunder the other day?
Oh, I didn't. Oh my God, am I going to have to take Huw Edwards?
No. Well, he did the old... tweeted his own name.
Oh, Ed Balls. He did the Ed Balls.
Ed Balls, yeah. He tweeted Huw Edwards. The fucking vanity of the man. What's he think people are going to be like? Huw Edwards is such a good newsreader, and be like, nice. Hasn't he got better? Surely he's got better things to be doing than that.
Everyone needs a bit of downtime. Now, vanity searching, I wouldn't say is the best use of downtime. Maybe he should have just, I don't know, watched Midnight Mass or something. People say that's good, rather than just, what are people saying about me on Twitter? But still, we've love for Huw here on the PC Gaming Weekspot. So, big news this week, Matthew. And it is, I don't know, a sort of a combination of stories here. Some we have touched on before, but let's go into kind of greater detail. Why not? So, do you remember Konami, the video game publisher that when we were talking about eFootball, apart from PES, they do just, what are they called? The pachinko machines, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like the old Price is Right things. Well, we've spoken before about them trying to revive some franchises. According to Video Games Chronicle, they're going to be ramping that up. So, 3 series in particular: Silent Hill, Castlevania, and Metal Gear. In the past year, Konami have restructured the sort of games development part of the company, and that was purely because they I guess they see that they're leaving money on the table by leaving these series dormant. The one that I thought we'd kind of brush over because we've spoken about it before and there isn't any new news on it is Silent Hill. Well, because it's the same story that there are multiple Silent Hills in development.
Well, over the weekend, someone was rumouring that it's there's a fresh rumour that it's a co-production between Sony and Kojima Productions.
Shit. Well done for spotting that, because I didn't see that.
Yeah. That was but I don't know. I just don't see Kojima wanting to work with,
what?
The divide between him and Konami, I think, is meant to be quite severe.
I mean, money talks, but...
Yeah, but I don't know. I honestly don't know.
So sorry, I didn't see this. So what they were saying that
Gamatsu, I think.
Right. Were they saying Silent Hills is going to come back?
Well, they didn't specifically say Silent Hills. They said a Silent Hill game has been, is being made by Kojima Productions, and Sony are behind it in some way as well. I don't know. I guess, one of those PlayStation exclusivity type things, I would imagine. Yeah,
I mean, I'm guessing you played PT. Everyone did at the time.
Yeah.
PTY. I mean, there's a reason some people call PT one of the best horror games, because it's like, pant-shittingly terrifying. It is incredible.
I've not been able to walk down any corridors since. I'm now corridor free.
I'm the same. Whenever I see a fridge hanging from a ceiling, I panic a little bit. Okay. Well, I would.
But like the Silent Hill rumor mill is like an absolute trash fire, because there's the Blooper team. Oh, actually, we've heard that they're making 2, they're making 3, they're making, it's just like there are so many like rival rumors.
Mm-hmm.
Only one, if that can be true. So it's just best to just sidestep that entirely and just not worry about it.
Yes, let us sidestep Silent Hill and move on to another series that Kojima is best known for, and that is Snatcher. No, that is Metal Gear, obviously. So the rumor around this a couple of weeks ago was that there was a Metal Gear Solid remake in the works. Then there was a rumor that it was a Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty remake in the works. Now, VGC reported in the past week that there is a Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater remake in the works. And it is being developed by a studio in Singapore called Virtuous. They ported Dark Souls and The Outer Worlds to the Switch. So if it is them, they have porting experience, I guess. And also,
I guess they have.
Oh, well, yeah.
You can't deny it. I guess they've ported a game. It's like, well, yeah, they did. Yeah, they did.
but well, I suppose, yeah, specifically to the Switch rather than PC. But VGC also reported that remasters of, and this is a quote from VGC, not a quote attributed to anyone else, the original Metal Gear Solid games, end quote, will be remastered for consoles at a later date. Now, I'm not entirely sure what that means when they say the original Metal Gear Solid games. I don't know if that means Metal Gear Solid and Sons of Liberty, or fucking VR missions, or Like what? I don't know. I'm not sure what that means. But surely in this,
yeah, that's pretty vague. I guess now, like you might think of 1, 2, and 3 as the original Metal Gear. So, as in, they were older and they were together on a.
Yeah, maybe.
I wouldn't say like. For some reason, my head says not Metal Gear Solid 4 does not come under original Metal Gear. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense.
Of all the remake chatter, though, would you be up for a Snake Eater remake? Because I won't lie, I mean, Snake Eater is just mwah. I would. There's a part of me. I know we spoke a couple of weeks ago about why is everyone making the same games again? I'd be a bit of a hypocrite and I would be like, ooh, a shiny version of Snake Eater. Just to see Volgan come walk towards me and go, Kuwabara. I'd be like, yes, we are back. I don't know. Does that get you excited? Are you like, no, I want new Metal Gear?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. Like, it's... In my head, they are sort of still quite readily playable because of the HD collection.
The HD collection did make them... They did jazz them up a little bit. Snake Eater never came to PC. Did it? No.
HD collection's on PC, isn't it?
I don't... maybe I'm wrong. I thought the original and Sons of Liberty came to PC. I didn't think Snake Eater came to PC. I could be wrong. But... It like a remake, because even the original Snake Eater, I still think looks actually pretty good. It's just it's a little bit edgy. As in the characters, the polygons are a little bit straight, and But I like of all of them, obviously,
it's got quite a distinct sort of stylized look. So some of its more organic environments are a little blocky by today's standards, but it holds up and it's just got such a sense of style that it's I can't see anyone playing that and being like, this is so ugly,
But the last Konami game that's doing the rounds in the rumor mill, maybe we could have a little bit more of a chat on this, because what VGC reported is a little bit more vague, or what they got from their sources is a little bit more vague. So Castlevania, a series that has been dormant since 2014 with Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2. Apparently, word on the street is that the kind of next big game from Konami will be a Castlevania before a Metal Gear Solid or a Silent Hill. And sources told VGC that the next Castlevania is going to be a, quote, reimagining from Konami. Do you think that makes sense? Like, let's just start over again with same people, like you've Alucard and what's his chops? The Belmonts, Simon, is it? All those lads. I say that, like, my history with Castlevania, like, properly limited. I know, like, I don't know if it's you're a massive fan, but you really enjoyed Lords of Shadow, I think you told me before.
Yeah, and I like some of the 2D ones. I haven't got much of a relationship with the proper retro ones, the sort of the NES and SNES ones. That they're not. It's not I don't like them. I just they're just rock hard, and I'm terrible at them. But I like the kind of Symphony of the Night style one. They made tons for DS and GBA. And they were good. I've been playing the Advance collection recently, actually, which was the kind of the collection of the Game Boy Advance ports, and they still hold up really well. I have no idea what I want from Castlevania, because in my head I really like those 2D sort of the Metroidvania ones, but even they by the end had sort of run out of steam, or I felt like I'd explored so many sort of sprawling castles. So I was like, wow, it can't just keep being this forever. I really like Lords of Shadow. I didn't think I would. I didn't think it needed to be turned into a kind of God of War-ish 3D brawler, but I actually thought the first Lords of Shadow was absolutely superb. The second one is very uneven. It's got stuff I like in it. So whether, I guess really the big question is whether they go down the 2D route or the 3D route. I'm given that, they didn't want to do the 2D stuff, or whatever happened with that was enough for Igarashi to like leave, Konami in, semi-mysterious circumstances, as is always the case with ththese people. It'd be annoying for them to then go, oh, actually, we are interested in doing this, because, you had such a person who was so talented at doing the 2D ones. 3D could be. Maybe I'm just up for a 3D one because I was recently doing some other stuff about like underrated N64 games, and it reminded me of like the goofy 3D Castlevanias, which have never really, before Lords of Shadow, they'd done a few 3D ones, and it never really felt like they took off. But I do like this world, I do like the cheesiness of like a castle full of vampires. Everything today seems a bit more grounded and po-faced. When I was playing the advanced games, the thing that jumped out was, wasn't it fun that, people were like unembarrassed to make such an openly silly kind of adventure game where it's like werewolves and Medusa heads and all this kind of stuff in a big spooky castle. Like, could you ever see like Naughty Dog making a game set in a spooky castle?
Jesus, no.
That's the current era sort of frowns on that kind of openly silly stuff, especially in the kind of AAA space.
I would say that you get a lot of that in film as well, and I feel like the gritty.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's very much in vogue and has been now for the last.
Everyone basically thinks they're better than fun.
Yes,
and that shouldn't be the case. So I'd definitely be up for creeping around a big castle. I'd love to see a Lord of Shadow 2 did a bit of the castle. You had a big castle you could explore, but I'd love to have a proper like 3D Dracula's castle. That'd be amazing.
Like massive,
huge. Yeah, take a bit of the Metroidvania stuff, but do it properly 3D. That could be really, really cool. I also feel like because of the Netflix show, there's just a lot of affection for Castlevania at the moment, and like its lore, which I'd never really given much thought to at all. Actually, I think the show kind of did some quite fun stuff with it, and based on the popularity of the show, you could understand why they might think, maybe let's have something which kind of taps into a bit of this.
Oh, 100%. Like the anime has actually proven quite popular, so I would imagine they are looking at that and saying, why aren't we using the popularity of this to sell games? So
yeah, but yeah, who knows? What a weird old company Konami is.
Indeed it is. Matthew, it wouldn't be a weak spot if we didn't have, indeed, what's that ahead? It's a right angle. It is Tech Corner.
Oh, good. That's the one bit of weak spot I won't miss.
It's the only bit I'm gonna miss. And Tech Corner this week is that Google recently said that the most searched word on Bing is Google. So what I want to ask you, Matthew, is, have you ever felt used? Like Bing has. Bing feels used. Keep it light.
That is what a question. That's one for the ages. But I mean, let's, that's actually thrown me.
Is there any way to keep it light? Did your did your brother ever say, will you go to the shop for me and get me a Kit Kat? Or I
wouldn't say like, oh my god, I'm being used.
I'm trying to give you a note.
How Machiavellian of him. I mean, you suggest like you've been sort of tricked in some way, you know, or that it's very negative. Because fundamentally, if someone asked me to go to shop to get them a Kit Kat, I would also buy myself a Kit Kat. So, you know, I'm good at turning situations around to benefit numero uno.
So being me to take a page out of your book. It was a difficult question to make light, Matthew. I do apologise.
Have you ever? I mean, wow, what a question to say for the last episode.
That's okay. We've given an anecdote, a fake anecdote about a Kit Kat.
Because the real answers are just too sad.
Yeah. So,
I would say completely unrelated to that question.
Yeah.
We will be doing a stage show at EGX this year.
Correct indeed. So that'll be fine. So yeah, those are your newsy bits for this week. So now it's time to tell the people about the games that we have been playing.
Show and tell. We can't afford a proper jingle. It's meant to be jingle.
Yes, show and tell is the part of the PC Gaming Weekspot, typically, where we show and tell you about the games that we've been playing over the last 7 days. However, because we won't be doing any more Weekspots for the remaining, what would that be, like 12 weeks-ish in the year, what we are going to do...
Oh, I thought you were suggesting we've only got 12 weeks left on this earth. As he won't be joining us for the rest of his life.
We would do a Game of the Year episode at the end of the year, at the start of next year, but we'll just do it now. So it's the Spotty Awards 2021. I've chosen 3 games. Matthew has chosen 3 games. These are 6 of our favourite games of the year so far. Obviously, there are more games to come. Like, I don't know, Far Cry, Halo, Forza, Horizon 5. Not 4, Forza Horizon 5. And other things probably as well. But I'll start us off. And Matthew... I want to remind you of one of the many time loop games this year. But this one left a mark on me. It is called The Forgotten City. In truth, maybe I would have included Deathloop. I don't know. I really do like Deathloop. But we have spoken about that ad nauseum over the last couple of weeks. And I want to remind people about The Forgotten City, which is it's a delight. I really do like it. It was the game that was made by the people who did a Skyrim mod that was downloaded millions upon millions of times. And then they put their heads together, went into a room for about 6 years, and they came out with this. And yeah, it's one of the many time loop games, but like Deathloop, there are similarities, I suppose. You sort of control the time loop in The Forgotten City. Because it's essentially an adventure game, just a little reminder, an adventure game where you go around chatting to the 15 to 20-ish inhabitants of this Roman city. And you chat to them about how they got into this city, and you try and piece this web together, figure out the story, etc., etc. But the thing is that the time loop resets every time the golden rule is broken, which is where somebody breaks the law and then golden statues come to life and they try and kill everyone in this place. And then you have to try and figure out why this is happening. And a couple of the reasons why I liked this game is that, well, one, I think the writing is very good. The characters all feel very individual, very three-dimensional. But it also does something that I do appreciate in a game like this, an adventure game that hangs its hat on you being a detective. It allows you to be a detective, and it's not an on-rails experience. Like, you pick up leads by talking to people, by finding notes. And there are some quest markers here and there, but so it's not just totally leaves you on your Todd. Like, it gives you a gentle nudge here or there, but you're not following a mini map and following lines on the map bringing you from location A to location B to location C. And just the general, like, because you're in this one map as well. It's quite big. Like, I don't know. How do I word this? I suppose what they've done with this game is, because it's not terribly long, I don't know, about 7 hours. Map feels substantial, but not ginormous. It feels like they didn't bite off more than they can chew, which is a relatively big-ish problem sometimes in games. Like, it just feels like the right size. There are the right amount of things in it. What game were we talking about lately where there was a giant... Oh, it was Sable, where I felt like that the map just felt like it just feels too big. Like, the Forgotten City doesn't feel like that. It's quite dense. There's focus in every loop you do as well, which again is a similarity between this and Deathloop. Like, each time you know exactly what you're going to do, you are going to progress in some way. Because like Cole in Deathloop, you remember certain actions and you remember the certain characters and all that. I really liked this one.
Yeah, I've started playing it. I haven't finished it. It seems rad as hell to me. It's like being at the star of like your own Doctor Who adventure. You kind of wander into this situation and it's all sort of happening and you kind of get to piece it together. I really like the energy of it. Something very like reassuring about the voice acting in this game as well. It's like a little bit naff, but also quite nicely done. You really get a sense of the characters. I think it's cool.
Yeah. I quite enjoyed this game. I would highly recommend it. I don't think it's an arm and a leg either. And as I say, relatively short, twisty, turny, nice story, and a nice focus as well in that you need to figure out who is going to break the golden rule. You need to figure out what does break the golden rule, because there is even some grey area in terms of what constitutes breaking the law as well. Some decent time loop games out this year and some not so decent time loop games, but I very much enjoyed The Forgotten City. So well done, The Forgotten City, game of the year 2021 so far, one of them. Matthew, what is the first game that you would like to talk about?
I am going to talk about Hitman 3, which feels like 1,000 years ago now.
It does. It
Even
really
though it's
does.
like all we had to talk about for the first few months of the year. It's another set of levels for Hitman, with a bit more of a sort of story focus, which is actually one of the weaker things about it, is that it tries a little too hard to or it cares a little bit too much about Agent 47. I just don't think he's that interesting a character. But what is interesting are the new levels in this, which are some of my favourite from the current trilogy. I particularly like this level that we're looking at right now, which is Mendoza, set in a big vineyard. It's got some absolute all-time signature kills. I'd say generally the signature, or the kind of the opportunities, or whatever you want to call them, the big sort of scripted kills that you can sort of follow from objective to objective, are much grander in Hitman 3 than before. There's maybe slightly fewer of them, but I think they all kind of hit slightly harder. It's got some really interesting twists on the traditional formula. There's a level set in Dartmoor where it's like a murder mystery in the house, and you basically steal a detective's costume and investigate the house to try and work out who did a murder, and use that opportunity to get close to your target, which is really cool. There's a German nightclub where you don't know your targets and you have to kind of stalk them and to work out like who everyone is. It's much more like a Bourne film. It does a lot of interesting things. I mean, for me, IO it's my favorite like level design in terms of like the environmental art and the sort of storytelling in it. I think they're just absolutely beautiful. Like they're these just incredible places to be. I would happily play like a new batch of Hitman levels like every year or every couple of years. I think they're giving it a bit of a break now, but if this is the one they're going to go out on, so be it. It's really, really good. It's really good fun.
It is. It's probably, in truth, two of the games that you're going to talk about would probably be in my top 3 as well, this being one of them. I loved Hitman 3, despite its flaws. One of them being, if you're watching this map here, which revolves around the story and them trying to give Agent 47 more character, and it's like, just give us fun levels. I mean, give us reasons to be in these areas. But the thing I appreciate about Hitman 3 is how it does play with that formula. Like, I didn't like Berlin as much as you, but I still really liked it, and I enjoyed the just like the fact that you first had to find your targets. Like, this feels fresh. Or Dartmoor, where you're solving a murder mystery. Like, it wasn't just simply Diana going, 47 killed that man and that woman in, the craziest way possible. Like, there were sort of fun concepts. It felt like they were playing with just, I don't know, the idea of putting together a hitman assassination. It's good.
The only thing I regret is like this year, well, listen, I've got many regrets, but with regard to Hitman 3, is that I've been a bit too busy to kind of do the season pass stuff, because they had like that season of the 7 Deadly Sins where they kind of revisited the levels. It didn't do new levels, as far as I'm aware. If they had done that, I would have been like all over that. Just a really cool thing.
A very good computer game. Well done, IO, in Hitman 3. Excellent stuff. The next game that I wanted to bring to the table is a game that came out in the summer, and it felt like it came and went, so I did want to highlight it. And I thought this was brilliant. Death's Door. It's a game that, like, I don't know, I don't. It doesn't do one particular new thing. It's not like, this is the game that does X, but it just does a combination of things so well. It's part Zelda, part Dark Souls. Isn't every fucking game. But this is a very enjoyable one of them. Yeah, you play as this little crow that has been sent on missions to reap the souls of characters. And you do that in, I think it's 4 different worlds, all separated out into different areas, and typically have a boss at the end of the area, and then that boss will give you a weapon that will then allow you to go to other areas in the world and reach parts of the map that you couldn't before. I'm hesitant, as I think I even mentioned at the time, I'm hesitant to say, like, it's not a Metroidvania as such, but it's part Metroidvania, but it is more about going to other areas and picking up sort of little extras. I just think the combat was great. It's simple. You have a strong attack and a bow, a bomb. You've like very, very simple. Again, Zelda-like weapons, and even the worlds do the sort of 90s in that you have the ice level, you have the sort of beachy, watery level, you have the underground lab level. But each area is just so characterful. But one thing that, if people didn't play it at the time, or if they've forgotten, it's quite funny. Like, I remember being surprised how funny this was. It isn't, for a game that's called Death's Door and revolves around, you being a Grim Reaper. It's a lot of dad jokes, I suppose. But its execution of them is terrific. Like, you meet a fella who has a pot for a head, and he's called Pothead. Of course he is. Yeah,
You talked about that when you did the original review. You really like that pothead joke.
Oh, it was brilliant. It was just
brilliant. It landed with you in such a big way.
It was because the way they deliver the punchline is like a Dark Souls boss. Like it zooms into his head and you get pothead coming up at the bottom of the screen. Or there's another boss in there that's a giant frog. And it's a similar thing where it's a visual gag. Like where, I don't know, what's their names, Ornstein and Smough, or I don't know, my Dark Souls knowledge is shite. But the name of the boss would come up. It does that, but it just gives this overly long name for this frog. It's quite playful. It's not just so po-faced, you know, which I appreciate in a game like this. And also I appreciate its respect, I suppose, that it has for death. Because whenever you kill a boss, you get a again, one of the stupid looking characters who delivers a sort of a eulogy. I think it's an absolute cracker. I really enjoyed it.
I must admit, I still need to play this one.
I'm pretty sure it was Game Pass. I don't think they've taken it off. I could be wrong. But yeah, I thought it was very, very good. So yes, well done. Death's Door, and a small little Manchester studio as well. Matthew, what is the next game that you would like to talk about?
It is, I've forgotten, Great Ace Attorney.
left such an impression. The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles.
Yeah, so this is the sort of Victorian era Ace Attorney spin-off, technically a sort of prequel, I guess, in that it's about the ancestor of Phoenix Wright as he goes to London from Japan to pursue a fledgling career as a lawyer. It's quite like Ace Attorney, except set in a different time period. So they've got like different sort of technology and different opportunities available to the writer, who's a guy called Huw Edwards, to kind of construct the murders from, leans heavily into the adventures of Sherlock Holmes, although due to a copyright thing, it's not Sherlock Holmes, it's Herlock Sholmes, who is this sort of goofy, preposterous take on Holmes. And, you know, he's kind of there doing his detective thing, and you are, you know, sort of treated as a sort of sidekick of sorts, even though you're the one doing all the heavy lifting, is the kind of big joke with this. Like Ace Attorney, it's kind of split between investigation sections and court sections. Both of them get like a big new thing to kind of sort of jazz them up a bit. So the court sections have these like mob trial, like juries, not mob trials. That's the Professor Layton versus Ace Attorney. It has a new jury system where you have 6 people and you have to kind of play them against each other to kind of crack open certain testimonies. And then in the investigation periods, there are these mad things called dances of deduction, where Sherlock Holmes does this sort of proposes his sort of theory for what happened, and then you have to go through it and correct it because he's a bit of a fool and he gets it all wrong, and you have to kind of point out, oh, actually it was this prop, not this prop, that was key, and so the truth emerges. I mean, really, like with the Ace Attorney games, I think what resonated with me here was I love a good mystery, and the mystery writing's very good, and Huw Edwards is a huge Sherlock Holmes nerd, so you really get the sense of someone just, you know, getting to play in this world that they clearly love, which is, you know, very sort of endearing and fun. But also just really great characters, really great music cues, you know, all the stuff that you love in Ace Attorney, the way you know, people suddenly explode with rage and they reveal all these sort of like mad hidden animations in themselves. This has that in spades. Very charmingly done, quite long. I wouldn't necessarily say PC is the natural home for this game. Like, I don't know if I'd want to sit at my PC for tens of hours just through dialogue boxes. Like, it's a prime candidate for your Steam Deck, should you get one. I imagine it will play very nicely on that. It's not technically very demanding. I actually played it on Switch, mostly in handheld mode, because these will forever be handheld games. But yeah, it was just a spin-off we were never really meant to have, I don't think. You know, they were made some years ago and weren't localized at the time. So just a really, special treat. These kind of came out of nowhere. I would say it's actually been like a pretty good year for Capcom, all told. I haven't included it in this list, but I did have a lot of fun with Resident Evil Village as well. That was just a really good laugh. Like that thing I was saying about Castlevania, just a big, silly, old school video game with like big, dumb ideas and stupid giant castles and monsters. That, I like that vibe. I don't want everything to be like ultra grim and po-faced. So, yeah.
And you
so,
certainly
well
don't
done,
get
Grace
that.
Ace Attorney, and also a special recognition award for Capcom for making some other fun things.
Yes. I haven't gotten around to playing Great Ace Attorney. The duration does scare me a little bit.
It is long, but like, if you're into this series, they happen so rarely. That's what you want.
I understand that. Yeah,
I'm quite greedy, and the fact that it is 2 games crushed together into this kind of Chronicles package, it's absolutely mammoth. I mean, it's 2 games, but really, it's one story. So.
Yeah, well done, Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. The next game...
We haven't got a musical act to break up the awards.
It would be nice, wouldn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, Paolo Nutini. But yeah, before Paolo plays, the next game I want to highlight is one that I do have problems with. I will talk about them, but I will also just say that It Takes Two is very good, and I did not expect it to be quite as good as it is. Like, it's so imaginative. Do you remember when Joseph Fares, yes, fuck the Oscars, etc., when he said, I will give, £100 to anyone who becomes bored of It Takes Two? And I was like, all right, Joe, that's been a bit cocky there, aren't you? But after playing through it, I got what he meant. Because even if you don't like It Takes Two, I don't know how you could become bored of it.
Right.
Because it is constantly changing how you interact with it. For those who don't know, co-op game, like you have to play co-op, where you and basically a man and a woman called Cody and May have been shrunk into dolls. They're having marriage problems, and they're arguing sometimes, and then we love each other again, etc., etc. You know what's going to happen, but they travel around these kind of cartoony, fantastical worlds, meeting all different types of characters. But the magic in this is how you interact in these worlds. Like, there's a section where you are a section like Diablo, essentially, where one of you is a wizard and another one of you is whatever the other one of you is. There's a part where the two of you are trying to outrun wasps. So one of you is has like a sap gun, the other has matchstick that can blow up the sap. Like, it's incredibly imaginative, all of the sections in this game, and delightfully a co-op game where co-op is, it's essential. You cannot play this game single player. And that ties in beautifully to the story as well, and the relationship that these two are trying to repair, etc., etc. So all massive ticks for that. I don't want to spend loads of time talking about my problems with it, but I do think, like, the ending...
Imagine if they did that at the Oscars. They're like, the best actor goes to Robert De Niro, who was like 90% of his performance was amazing, and 10% like of it was him looking rather unconvincing, walking up and down stairs as a 20-year-old.
I didn't like that middle bit, Rob. I'm really sorry, but still, all the same, come up, get your award. No, this I didn't like the ending. I thought the ending was very, very weak, to the point where it did, I thought, hurt it a little bit, but still. Keeping that in mind, I think this was magnificent. Every 2 or 3 minutes, the game introduces a new style of puzzle or a new challenge or a new mini game or just something new, and tells you to completely forget everything that you've just played. Like, it takes it takes ideas that you would that would be turned into full like 6, 8, 10 hour games, and it uses them for, I don't know, an hour and a half, and then it goes, forget it, move on to the next thing.
It's also got an incredibly funny bit with an elephant.
Oh, the bit with the elephant is terrific. I said this even at the time. I don't think you had gotten to that bit, but
no, it's like legitimately one of the funniest things I've seen in a game.
It's like it's funniest when it's at its sort of darkest. The bit with the elephant is great. Not every gag is a knockout, but surprisingly not the surprisingly funny one. I thought it was great. I really liked it. I know you had a soft spot for it too.
I like it a lot too. I think you're right. It kind of really powers along. Like, it's nice to see just this very polished, sort of beautiful thing set in like quite mad rainbow worlds. You know, this stuff doesn't tend to get made that often, like outside of Nintendo. To this kind of like level of like polish. Just how much it packs in. Like, you're right. It kind of rips you through these worlds really fast. It's actually got co-op mechanics in a way that A Way Out didn't for me. Like, that just felt like that felt very, very poor compared to this. But this kind of like restored my faith a bit in that it's co-op through and through, and finds out lots of interesting ways of sort of investigating that relationship between two players. Didn't really care for the story or the slightly horny book of love.
The book as well. I forgot. Yeah,
but it's got some like quite sinister moments, which really made me laugh. I really like this. What a really, really pleasant surprise.
Even the bit as well, talking about it's funniest when it's darkest.
The vacuum cleaner.
The vacuum cleaner too. The other part I can't really where somebody cries. And the two dolls are like, yes!
Yeah.
It's good. It is good. Well done. It Takes Two and Hazelight Studios. Matthew, what is the next game that you would like to talk about?
Yeah, so Psychonauts 2, which feels like quite a good companion piece to It Takes Two, actually, in terms of it's another 3D character platformer with quite wild visual design. For me, Psychonauts 2 is a bit more sophisticated in terms of, It Takes Two has some quite like tropey stuff in terms of like, here's an ice world and a space world or whatever, and Psychonauts 2 doesn't really do anything tropey at all. The setup of the game is that you sort of invade the mental landscapes of troubled characters to sort of find what ails them and help them out, but that means the levels are set in these kind of really like madly imaginative vistas that are based on their traumas and whatnot. And a lot of the pleasure of the game is discovering like what they do with those levels and what they do with the settings. So it's almost like spoilers to say like there is a level that is X, Y. Like Psychonauts 1, it's a mixture of kind of very collecting heavy platforming, but with levels which are slightly more conceptually out there. So there's like a level which is a bit like a kind of riff on Overcooked. It's like a game show, for example. And it's, it mixes itself up enough that the core platforming, which is absolutely fine, I've got no problems with it, but it mixes itself up enough that you're constantly doing something new, and the adventure's got this real kind of like pace to it. I just thought this felt like, it's just the best thing Double Fine have done since Psychonauts 1. Like, admittedly, they've been quite a weird studio since Psychonauts 1. They did Brutal Legend, which I don't really care for. The kind of mixture of like real-time strategy and action adventure doesn't really work for me. And outside of that, it feels like they've just done lots of quite small little indie projects that they sort of do that incubator thing where they do like a game jam and then base their ideas off that. And they've made lots of like nice little things, but nothing which I think fully explores the idea in a substantial way. But this really feels like the most complete game they've made in years and years and years, which is just such a pleasure to play and see like Tim Schafer's humour and this amazing art team and the composer who does some just absolutely amazing music. You know, these worlds are so varied that the musical styles are like, you know, almost could be different soundtracks entirely between the levels. It's just like just such a fantastically made, polished thing. Whether some of that is the Microsoft money from them being bought by Microsoft to sort of polish it up and kind of fill in a few gaps, it just really very impressive, like how complete it is. I love these characters. I love this world. Like, you know, I got to the end of this and would just happily have played like the whole thing all over again or another game of this. You know, but I'd be fascinated to see what Double Fine choose to do next. But I really feel like they knocked it out of the park with this one.
Yeah, agreed. It's probably my favorite game of the year so far. And again, you know, that's despite its has some flaws. And some of them revolve around, even we spoke about at the time, that like the kids in this felt sort of, I don't know, unnecessary or just disregarded.
It's got like the first, it's weird. It's got like the first act doesn't feel particularly related to the rest of the game. Yes. You know, you meet all these characters and then they kind of disappear for the rest of it, but it becomes about something else. So I didn't have
totally
a huge problem with that.
And it's, I don't know, I'm even hesitant to say like, I honestly, and I'm being genuine when I say this. I'm not asking a question. Like, I don't know if any of the levels if there is a Milkman conspiracy in there. There are things that come very, very close, and maybe that's unfair because the first Psychonauts is terrific, but this obviously is a more polished version of that. It plays far better than the first Psychonauts did.
I think the stuff inside the sort of the fractured mind of Ford, the kind of different perspectives on him are pretty amazing. Visually, I think it's maybe you're right in terms of like mechanically, there's not a single like series best level, but it's still still terrific. It's like, you know, an episode of a great TV show that's kind of like middling is better than a lot of other TV. Like the worlds and the levels that Double Fine have created here are like, maybe there isn't an original Psychonauts quality level in here, but there's things that come very, very close and also would shit on awful lot of other levels in other games. It's much nicer to play as well. Much nicer to play than the first one. Like, much smoother experience.
Psychonauts 2, a very, very good game. So yes, well done, Psychonauts 2.
I meant to ask,
yes.
Obviously we've got a few months left, but generally your read on 2021, has it been a great year for games or merely a fine year for games?
I think it's been a fine year. I think some people ushering in the end of video games, a video games crash, are a little bit premature. Yeah. Like, because there have been, we've just mentioned 6 of them. There are others. You mentioned Resident Evil Village. I mentioned Deathloop. Like, it hasn't been a banner year. It hasn't been a 2007 or 11 or 98. But I think it's been decent. And look, I feel like we sort of need to, some people might say, oh, look, it's moving the goalposts, but like, COVID did happen. It had a lasting impact on a lot of developers, and it pushed a lot of video games that maybe we would have played this year. So it's difficult to judge this year without having that in mind. I don't know, what do you think similar? A sort of a decent year?
Yeah, but I've been sort of starting to put together my like top 10 and working out things that I need to like fill the gaps with, and it definitely feels like we're feeling the aftermath of the delays last year a bit more severely.
Yeah.
Like last year was actually relatively untouched in terms of what came out, but this year, like we're definitely feeling it. Yeah, I don't know if I've played a single like outright 10 out of 10.
I'd probably agree.
You know, there's lots of stuff that I've liked enough, but hasn't quite kind of fully delivered. But it's kept me busy.
Indeed. Is there anything coming out for the remainder of the year that you are kind of going like, this will likely be up high in my list?
I love Forza Horizon. I think Forza Horizon 4 was one of my favorite games of that year. I tell a lie. The reason Outer Wilds DLC that's a 10 out of 10 for me. I didn't talk about it though because I talked so much about it last week, or rather talked around it. That is still superb, but it's also cheating a bit because it's more of a previous 10 out of 10, I think. I'm really looking forward to the new thing from Mr. Pony Island.
Did you play the demo?
I actually haven't, because I just want to play the whole thing. And
so yeah, I played it because I had to capture it for the top 10 games thingy. I like it. I'm like, yeah, give it to me. I'm 100% in for this.
That guy's brilliant. I love the Hex. I love Pony Island. There's no way that's not going to be good.
Yeah, very much looking forward to that. As same as you, Forza as well. The Back 4 Blood beta, I was like, this seems good. I mean, it's not. Like, I'd be looking forward to playing it. Yeah. Like, it'll be
very jolly, I'm sure.
I always enjoy a Far Cry. I mean, is the formula becoming a little bit thin? Perhaps, but the loop, they are very good at that loop.
Yeah, last one didn't really do it for me.
Then it's kind of it. I don't know, from a non-PC perspective, just very quickly. Do you have any interest in that Metroid Dread?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'm going to be getting that this Friday, I think it comes out. That'll be a treat for the weekend.
Very good. Is that probably, like, in truth, like, breaking down boundaries in terms of platforms? Would that be the game that you're most looking forward to?
Not particularly. I mean, I like Metroid a lot. It's not like an all-time favorite series for me, but a new 2D Metroid is always exciting. So yeah, we'll wait and see. I've been trying to avoid reading much about it, so I don't really know if it's meant to be any good, but we shall see. Indeed we will. So this isn't the Nintendo Weekspot.
In short, a decent year.
Absolutely fine.
Properly decent. 6 out of 10, and 6 is a good score. 3-star. It's been a 3-star year, which is better than 6. Which is what we would have said. It's better than what we would have said at the start of the year. 3-star year for 2021. Pretty good. So, Matthew, now it is time to test the knowledge of one another in a little game we like to call Mystery Steam Reviews. And I will say, don't just forget all that knowledge, all those games we just talked about, Matthew, because you may need it. Play Gabe's face.
It's time for Mystery Steam Reviews. Yeah!
Yes! Mystery Steam Reviews is the part of the PC Gaming Weekspot where I, Colin Mahern, and he, Matthew Castle, test the knowledge of one another with something we like to call Mystery Steam Reviews. And the review rules are as follows. Both I and Matthew bring 3 Steam reviews to the MSR arena, but we omit the name of the game associated with each review. Our opponent must correctly guess the game attached to each review. 1 correct answer equals 1 point. While both of us have 90 seconds on each MSR, we both also have help in the form of 3 lifelines. These can be used at any stage during battle and also pause the 90-second timer. However, they can only be used once and once only, and they are as follows. Publisher, where the hot seat haver learns the publisher of the game. Second opinion, where a second review is given to the fiery chair sitter. and genre, where the genre of the game is revealed to the one with the warm...
Oh my god. So I'll never ever hear that again.
Never ever again.
The one with the warm arse.
So, Matthew, the reason I said previously to not just disregard everything we've just spoken about in this episode of the PC Gaming Weekspot is because this week's Mystery Steam Reviews is all about video games that were released in 2021. And thankfully, I need say no more. That's it. That's all that needs to be said.
Whoever wins this one is the ultimate winner. It doesn't matter how many we have or haven't won in the past. This is the one. People, you're only as good as your last Mystery Steam reviews.
I hope that there's some drama to this and you don't just beat me 3-1. It would be good to keep it going until the end. But we shall see. We shall see. Matthew, your first Mystery Steam review is as follows. Don't listen to the haters. Listen to me. Brackets genius. Who thinks the Hat Jester is hot. The demo and pre-release reviews didn't do it justice. It's pretty alright once you get into it. Trust me. And that's from Toast. It is recommended 26.7 hours on record, 6.9 hours at review time. Matthew, your time starts now.
Listen to me, brackets genius. That's amazing. That's what we should have called this whole show. Listen to me, brackets genius. Hat Jester. That feels like the giveaway here. Jesters and hats. The Hat Jester is hot. The only jester I can think of is like, what's her chops from Batman, Harlequin. But that doesn't make any sense. Hat Jester, and there hasn't been a Batman game this year. Something bad that they like. This could be Balan Wonderland. Hat Jester. That makes me think of Knights, which makes me think of that. Oh, and she wears that. Yeah, he is. He wears the top hat. I think this is Balan. Oh, is it Wonder World or Wonderland? Balan Wonderland.
Is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
So, you correctly noticed that the Hat Jester, that was the thing to hone in on, and you did. And it led to you saying Balan Wonderland.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, Matthew, that the correct answer is Balan Wonder World. Oh. But I'm obviously going to give it to you. You obviously got it.
To me?
Of course. Of course.
Oh, well, that's very kind.
It's close. You got the Balan Wonder. You got two
I was about
parts.
to call you something horrible. I'm glad I didn't.
Matthew, could I have my first Mystery Steam review, please?
Bird.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
That's from...
What a
Are you
bastard.
sure you want to give me that last point? That's from Ramen Hits Different. They recommend it. After 38.8 hours on record.
Time starts now. Bird. Alright, so... Well, I've just spoken about a game where you are a crow. That's a game with a bird in it. It is called Death's Door. There is Kiwi, which is a game that came out recently. There are birds in that. What other games have birds? Skate Bird. There's a bird in that. The clue is in the name. Right, I am going to... I think what would help me here... If I use genre, it's going to say an action-adventure though, isn't it? Or something like that. but Kiwi would be like a puzzle. I'm just trying to think, because publisher I think could be more useful later. So do I use genre? It might call it like a hack and slash action adventure or something like that. If I pick, it would be like a sport game if it was skateboard. Pausing the timer at 13 seconds. Matthew, could I have my genre lifeline, please?
Yeah. Just like to say, you're doing some very deep tactical thinking that we haven't always seen in Mystery Steam Review. Why are you trying to pull it out of the bag at the last minute? Interesting. I think this is what people wanted all along from Mystery Steam Reviews, is what I'm saying. So, genre, you say?
Please.
This is an isometric action-adventure game.
Death's Door, Chris.
Is that your final answer?
That is my final answer.
So, you were told it was a bird? You thought maybe Death's Door? Thought maybe Skatebird? Perhaps Kiwi? But have you missed another key bird release from 2021? The correct answer is Death's Door. Nicely done.
Matthew, your second Mystery Steam review is as follows. This is one hell of a presentation. The esoteric techno-religion motif is beyond well done. If this is not an amazing game, I don't know what is. This animation, this atmosphere, this art style, all top-notch. The people who made this game know where their strong suits lie. And that's from Action Jackson. It is recommended 4 hours on record, 1.1 hours at review time. Matthew, your time starts now.
Esoteric techno-religion motif. My God. a techno-religion motif. So they're like something where they were like, praise the thing, praise the battery. Praise
I
the
wonder what's on
Robo-Man.
Matthew's desk.
Praise the Listen, give me the publisher on this.
Pausing the timer at 1 minute. As Matthew uses his publisher. Publisher of this video game is Team 17. Team 17.
Oh.
I'm restarting the timer 1 minute now.
Oh God. Team 17 makes so many games. They're always in my inbox. I'm like, techno-religion, Team 17. Esoteric techno-religion, what an art style. Oh, I do know it. It's, oh my God. It's got the amazing sprite art, and it's all like...
Beautiful.
It's like, that's electronic distortion. Oh, what the frick is his name? He's like, it's not Electro Boy. It's something Boy. I liked it. I played it. It says its name. Boy.
Cutting it fine, Matthew.
Narita Boy.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Down to the wire there. Was it esoteric techno religion motif? Amazing art style, amazing presentation, all that was in the review. The publisher revealed it to be Team 17. And took you a bit, but you were getting it there and it was on the tip of your tongue. You've ended up saying Narita Boy. And I can tell you, Matthew, that the correct answer is Narita Boy. Good work. You did play it. You did like it. So glad it left a lasting impression.
Forgot that was Team 17.
Matthew, could I have my second Mystery Steam review, please?
It's like they had an idea for a good game, but then took focus away from everything but the narrator because one of the leads played Stanley Parable and thought the narrator from that game was the greatest thing they'd ever saw. That's from Skylar Hates Alice. They do not recommend it after 1.3 hours on record.
Time starts now. It's like they had an idea for a good game, but then they just put everything on the narrator. Shit! I can't think of a single game in 2021 that has a narrator. I'm just trying to think. 12 Minutes doesn't have a narrator. The Forgotten City doesn't really have a narrator. I'm just, Hades Bastion, none of them came out this year. Games that had a narrator. Oh man. It's in here somewhere, I feel like it is. Games that had a narrator. It's like they saw the Stanley Parable, so it's a funny narrator? Oh, do I use my second opinion? I feel like it's there somewhere. Games with a narrator. I've gone blank. What did I play this year? 25 seconds. Pausing timer 24 seconds. Could I have my second opinion, Chris, please?
In general, it looks like Nintendo did its best to create a Fallout scenario, which is a good thing. But half of the time it's just gibberish, nonsensical, pointless, annoying, and downright morbid. Whoever greenlit this script should take a good long look at his career choices. And I'm not saying this lightly.
Restart the timer now. Nintendo Fallout scenario. Nuke. Biomutant! Yes! Sorry, Chris. Biomutant.
Said no one ever. Is that your final answer?
Yes, Chris. Biomutant is my final answer.
I doubt any of the reviews wrote Biomutant. Yes! But is it the correct answer? You were looking for a game with a comedy narrator who was a little overpowering? The correct answer is Biomutant. Good use of second opinion.
Oh, thank God. All right, keeping it interesting going into the final round. Ooh, exciting. Matthew, your third and final Mystery Steam review is as follows. You should buy this game. Not only does it have excellent gameplay, a phenomenal soundtrack, and interesting concepts, but also the book is very sassy. And that's from Aphex Angel. It is recommended 11.3 hours on record, 9.7 hours at review time. Matthew, your time starts now.
Gameplay, soundtrack, interesting concepts, very sassy book. I mean, that makes me think of It Takes Two. That's got a sassy book.
You have your two. Do you want to use your two lifelines?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Okay, pausing the timer at 106. Matthew uses his genre and second opinion. Do you want to go genre and then second opinion?
Yeah, let's go for it.
The genre is an action role-playing video game. The second opinion is, this was a pretty big disappointment. The music is great and the ideas behind the story are too, but the writing is overall pretty damn over-dramatic. The old-fashioned game design doesn't help, with NPCs only being able to deal with one quest at once. In order to view the different endings, you have to clear it at least 3 different times, doing the same fights, viewing the same cutscenes. A literal pain in the ass. A literal pain in the ass. Restarting the timer 106 now.
I swear this was going to be It Takes Two. What a... But that isn't an that description isn't that game. That game doesn't have multiple endings, doesn't have NPCs. It's not It Takes Two. A sassy book. It's tricky. Sassy book. What the heck? just trying to think of this. What am I missing? Oh, I do know it. It's the Nier game. Multiple endings, sassy book, Nier replicant, and some numbers.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, that's my final answer.
So the main takeaway from the original review, mention of a sassy book. You were thinking of It Takes Two until the genre of an action role-playing video game and the second opinion, which mentioned different endings, NPCs, quests, overdramatic writing, etc. You were thinking, this obviously can't be It Takes Two. You've ended up on Nier Replicant and some numbers. And I can tell you, Matthew, that the correct answer is Nier Replicant and some numbers.
Yes.
Well
I will tell you
done.
what, I would like to play that game with the Book of Love from It Takes Two in it.
That would be interesting.
Everyone's
Sure would
kind
be
of having these big soul-searching dilemmas, and he's there going, "Let's have some fun," and hit thrusting.
Matthew, could I have my final Mystery Steam review, please?
Best evil tree simulator I've ever played. You chop the trees land on you and kill you. The tree safely falls away, but into another tree, and that tree falls over and kills you. Just lots of good, wholesome tree falling physics all around. Pro tip, always be suspicious of any situations involving trees. Says Boogin. They recommended it after 341.5 hours on record, 7.5 at time of review.
Time starts now. Physics trees falling all over the place. You chop the trees. Alright, so it's a survival game. I have my publisher. Pausing the timer at 1:13. Could I use my publisher lifeline, please, Matthew?
It is Coffee Stain Publishing.
1:13. Restarting the timer now. Coffee Stain are the Goat Sim people, the people you have an issue. No, it was the people who wrote the Wikipedia entry for Goat Simulator you didn't enjoy.
Can't believe they edited it back.
A survival game from Goat Simulator. Not Icarus. That's the one that's out soon. Valheim. The Vikings, you chop the trees, they fall, the trees will go mad. Yeah, and that is Coffee Stain, I think. I think they published that. So yes, Valheim, Chris.
Is that your final answer?
That is my final answer.
So, you're thinking trees falling over? You assumed survival game, which took you to Valheim. But does that assumption hold up? The correct answer, the final answer in the final Mystery Steam reviews is Valheim. Oh.
Everyone's a winner, baby. That's true. Or a loser. Either way, it's a draw. So we've either both won or lost. I don't know.
Whoever wins, the audience loses.
Indeed. I like that. We didn't say anything beforehand, but what happened there was I chose 3 games that you played and spoke about on the Weekspot, and you chose 3 games that I played and spoke about on the Weekspot. So, very good.
My final one was almost Doom Eternal DLC. But I thought it was just too much of a motherfucker to pick that. But I thought it'd be so funny to go out with a Doom But
a genuine Doom would have been good. But yeah, that's Mystery Steam reviews. Well done, Matthew. I think you won overall.
I think it was a pretty close thing throughout.
Don't patronise me.
Okay.
But yes, but as you said, it was all down to this one. So, you know,
fundamentally, we leave as equals.
Exactly. So it was a giant waste of time because nobody wins.
Absolutely pointless.
But yeah, that's Mr. Steam Review. So now it's time to get on to your correspondence, folks. And let's light the man on fire one last time. I do often wonder, the man who is lit on fire, he's screaming, he's on flames. Does he get the WhatsApp notification there at the end? Or is it the person that has lit him on fire? I don't know.
Oh, it's him. He's getting a WhatsApp message that says, are you on fire?
Yes,
I can hear a man screaming. That isn't you, is it?
This is Burning Questions.
Have melted at that point.
This is the part of the show where indeed we take your burning questions. There's no point in really giving you the email, I suppose, because this is the last one. So yeah, thank you very much to everyone who has sent a burning question our way. I will check just as we get to the end. We have a decent chunk of them, so when I get to the end, I will check just to see if there's any last stragglers making their way through the door. But we start off. I should have said it earlier. I mean, I did say it last week. I hope to Christ on the YouTube video version of this, nobody has given us a super chat. Because as I said last week,
that money is straight up going in the bin.
We won't get to read it out, sadly. But speaking of super chats on YouTube, our first burning question obviously comes from Mog, the absolute legend, the hero that is Mog, who gave us £10.
The unofficial third member of the Weekspot crew.
100%. Mog said, after a long period of self-reflection, Steven Spielberg personally commissions a new game starring Colin Mahern and Matthew Castle, giving you a AAA budget and full creative reign. What would it be? Thank you very much, Mog. You legend. And tying it all together with a Steven Spielberg mention. Mm-hmm. So, you know, sadly, Steven couldn't make it today. Greta sent her love, though. So...
Oh, Greta Surname. But everyone misses that character. Oh, wait. This channel wasn't a success?
So Steven Spielberg has given you a load of cash and he's going to put the two of us in it and you have full creative reign.
And it feels like it's got to be co-op, right?
Yes. Yeah.
If it's the two of us.
Some sort of It Takes Two like.
I'm imagining It Takes Two, but going through like all the scenarios of famous scenes from Spielberg's back catalogue.
Okay, so like one of us is cycling the bike and the other one is...
I'm in the basket game.
what would you be trying to do? Yeah, what is it? Because I'm probably doing
I'm just eating fucking Skittles.
I'm probably doing some sort of international track and field thing, trying to cycle the bike. So you're just there for the ride.
Maybe I've got like a torch. I know this isn't in the film, and I'm just like highlighting manholes and rocks in the dark.
What other co-op sequences?
With my glowing finger.
Yeah, you could exactly. What other co-op sequence could there be from a Spielberg film where there's two people there?
One of us is doing the challenges of the Grail, and the other one's reading the diary and shouting out instructions. It's a bit like keep talking and nobody explodes.
Yes. Yeah. So we're just talking like
it's spelt with an I in Latin.
I wonder how we'd avoid things like Schindler's List probably.
Yeah.
We'll keep it out of our minigame.
There's not a lot of zany minigame potential in that one.
Collection. I'm just the Terminal. I could be Catherine Zeta-Jones. You could be Tom Hanks.
Listen if you want.
I mean, Saving Private Ryan is not, you know.
Oh yeah, it's
just the two of us are.
That's
army lads.
easy. lowering you down in the cage to see the shark. You're Richard Dreyfuss.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm one of the other two. A game where we communicate with the alien spaceship by playing the tunes.
Okay. Beautiful. We also
what a cursed video game this is.
We're also overlooking like one that probably, Ready Player One would be easy. I don't mean to bring down the tone, but there's probably I've never seen it, but it involves somebody putting on a VR headset, doesn't it? And they go to this world. There's probably something in that, and also it opens up a lot of other creative properties to us as well.
Oh, it does. Yeah, you're right. So this game's got it all.
So yes, thank you very much, Mog. You are an absolute hero. Thank you very much for this question, for all your questions. I'm not trying to show favoritism, but Mog has given us super chats every week. Mog, legend. Our second question comes from Rabid Lime, the returning Rabid Lime, who's given us $50. Thank you very much, Rabid Lime. And Rabid Lime said, apologies if this is a repeat. With Alien being a personal favourite and the board game Alien Fate of the Nostromo finally being released last month, and subsequent tabletop simulator mod, what are some of your favourite board games, TTS or IRL? Now, I will say I am the worst possible answerer of this question, because I haven't played any of the cool modern ones. Like, I love Cluedo. I think Cluedo is fantastic, as is the film. Watch it if you haven't seen it. But I do you have much knowledge?
I've played a few. I love what I have played, but so many of them take like 15 hours to play. That's the problem. Or they're so like epic and time structure. I've played a couple of times Battlestar Galactica. I really enjoyed that because it's basically the concept of Battlestar Galactica. You're trying to get the crew out, but at the start of the game, some of the players are secretly assigned as Cylons and have to like sabotage the game. So it's this kind of there's this sort of big tension about who the Cylons are, and it lasts for ages, like 4 or 5 hours or something. It's pretty epic. I've had some really good games of that. There's one, I want to say Mysterium, where like you're someone who's been murdered and you're trying to communicate with people who are like investigating your death through kind of picture cards. These are like very mainstream choices. They're not like,
I picked Cluedo, Matthew.
Yeah, but even so, like I can't really offer any particular, we're not freaking Dicebreaker, are we?
We're not, no.
I also really like, there's a really good Sherlock Holmes mystery game, Consulting Detective, where you kind of go all over this map and visit different buildings to solve crimes. That's really good.
Very good, very good.
You visit different buildings to solve crimes. What a terrible description of it.
Thank you very much for your question, Rabid Lime. And we have one other super chat, $10 from Doug Diamond. Oh. And Doug simply just said, cheers.
Oh,
cheers
Doug
to you, Doug. Thank you very much. You're all legends. I'm going to stop calling people legends now because people will get upset. But yes, thank you very much, Doug. Jonathan emailed in. Jonathan said, all right, fellas, Matthew recently did a bang-up job of describing the vibe and appeal of the new Outer Wilds DLC without spoiling anything. Has there ever been a super secretive game or DLC that you've really struggled to report on without spoiling anything? Keep up the great work. Much love, Jonathan. Thank you very much, Jonathan.
I assume this means, like Outer Wilds, a game with a concept you don't want to spoil, rather than about a game that secretly exists.
I'm guessing so, because it's very easy to not break embargo. It's just, shut up. It's basically... some people struggle, God love them, but the idea is just You know, you have signed typically a contract to shut the fuck up and not mention that you've seen the thing, so that then you can prepare coverage for the embargo. But if it's just games that, you know, I think that's what he means though when he says super secretive game or it's something that you want to avoid spoiling stuff. Can you think of anything other than Outer Wilds?
No, I mean, like, wouldn't ever give away like the solutions in an Obra Dinn, say.
Yeah.
I guess there have been games with like twists, you know, like the late, like what happened in Red Dead Redemption, for example, and how that works. This isn't one from personal experience, but I've heard colleagues talking about when they originally reviewed Metal Gear Solid 2, and they just weren't allowed to talk about Raiden at all. Like, that was the big secret. Like, you just had to, you know, so it was like a huge twist when, you know, what happens at the end of that first act. But I imagine that would have been tough, because that's like the meat of the game.
It's always tough talking about or reviewing narrative-driven, kind of your first-person narrative-driven gone home likes, like an Edith Finch, or even just like your narrative-driven adventure games, like your Telltale, your Walking Dead, your Game of Thrones, your blah, blah, blah. If you're doing that episodically, because by about episode 3, you're like, I've spoken about the art style twice already and the music. What else am I meant to say? Like, it's tough in that, because readers don't want you to spoil what happens in the episode. It's sort of different to, from my experience, what I've seen of TV, when people review episodes of TV, where it's accepted and expected that the person reading it has watched the episode of television and they are now reading the review of it. When in a review of like a Telltale episode, it's sort of more that you have played it and you are telling the people why it's good, why it's bad, why it's whatever. And reviewing a season of that does become a bit tiresome. Because it's, because you're trying to dance around it. Of course, it's like any game where when you're talking about the story, you're talking about how the story made you feel, how it progresses, what's the pacing or whatever, rather than, and then John put a gun to Mark's head and shot him. Like, you know, you're not doing a beat by beat thing, so you can get around it. But yeah, I mean, but what you said there about, imagine talking about Sons of Liberty without talking about Raiden. That would be pretty tough. So yeah, thank you very much, Jonathan. Nick emailed in. Nick said, hey guys, just wanted to say how much I will miss you. Your dynamic was so enjoyable. Colm, wishing you well for whatever you do after this. Thank you and all the best from Australia, Nick. Thank you very much, Nick. That's very nice. We actually have a couple here that are a bit back-patty, admittedly.
Listen, you're allowed to do that. But this is the only episode you're allowed to do it.
True. But yeah, thank you very much, Mick. It's very nice of you. Liam got in touch. Liam said, hi guys, just a brief email to say thanks for all the laughs on the Weekspot. It's been a highlight of my week since it started, and I'll really miss having it to listen to, especially MSR and the ever insightful Tech Corner. All the best for the future, and thanks again, Liam. Thank you very much, Liam. Very nice of you.
Tech Corner. A load of junk.
Ross, ever insightful. Ross got in touch. Ross said, no question, just cheers for the wonderful, wonderful show. Thank you very much, Ross. Very kind. Kat got in touch.
What an ego boost this is. This is fabulous.
I know.
I should have this at the start of every Monday.
Kat said, sad to see the series go as it's my favourite. Thanks so much for the great light-hearted atmosphere filled with so many laughs. Kat, thank you very much, Kat.
I always thought this was deadly serious. We weren't trying to be entertaining. We were trying to be insightful and sharp. Come on, have they been laughing at us all along?
Yeah, they've been laughing at us, not with us.
Oh my God. What a disaster.
Thomas got in touch. Thomas said, hi, Colm and Matthew. You answered my porn question. No, I have no recollection of this. And my disturbing games question. Again, I'm guessing we did. But so I thought I'd ask.
Memories of that.
So I thought I'd ask one-ish more question before you leave a gaping big hole in our lives. What do you think games journalism should do more of? And what do you think it should do less? Is there, for example, a piece of games journalism that made you think we need more of that? Or an article that you just think should be applauded? Personally, I just wish Edge magazine would use a bigger font size. Thank you for the podcast. It has been a highlight of my week for a while, Thomas. Thank you very much, Thomas. Very nice of you to say all the kind things. And apparently we answered a porn question, so that's good. Games journalism, Matthew, state of the industry. What do you think it needs more of? What do you think it needs less of?
I mean, it's really down to personal taste. I mean, there's always been the problem with, I feel like there's a lot of talking about what's going to happen. And then when the thing comes out, the kind of conversation stops. And that's been a problem for like a long time, and more people do it. There's lots of insightful post-release like analysis of games, and people do, nice retrospective work. But I still think, when games are at their most interesting is when you've actually had them. And yet for some reason we still spend a lot of our time, focusing on the previews and the hype and the rumours. I hate rumours. I hate video game rumours more than anything. I find that whole side of the industry to be total dog shit and a waste of everyone's time. Like, games are just not interesting until you can play them. So that is like as far from interesting. It's not even a real game. It's a theoretical game at that point. So, but that's a personal bugbear. I love people kind of telling the stories behind games from like creative perspectives. That didn't used to happen as much. And I think it's probably because people have like moved on from their jobs and are free to talk about it. But I really like that trend, the kind of, the oral history where someone dives into something or someone tells you the behind the scenes story of the sort of thought process. Anything that casts a bit of light on production, because it still feels like a great big mystery, like how these things are made. And I think having a better understanding of that might solve some other problems. There's a lot of complaints people have are based on misconceptions of what the industry is actually like and how hard it is to actually make a game. I think it's incredibly hard to make even a bad game. And so that might help with that. I don't know. Who are we to just tell people how they should be doing things? I think people should stop doing 2-hour video essays because I can't deal with that. That's too long. I can't watch for 2 hours. That's personal beef. I just want everyone to do the stuff that I'm doing because then it makes my life much easier, and I get commission more.
I would like. Again, this is all personal taste and etc. etc. More journalism would be good in games journalism because there is a lack of games journalists in games journalism, sadly. And there's a lot of factors behind that. Similar to what you said, Matthew, about you'd like to see, as I would, publications, outlets covering games more post-release. And like the reason websites and whatever don't do that is because there's a demand for the new thing, and also websites typically aren't staffed with enough people to cover both the new thing and the thing that's been out for 2-3 weeks. But yeah, I don't know. I suppose that would be my main thing would be kind of.
I know a more general point is that I think sometimes people forget that like it's meant to be fun, and I don't think everything has to be seen through the prism of video games. Like, my job has been to cover these for 14 years now, and that's fine because it's my job. But before then, they were just part of a balanced life, of interests and hobbies. I think that is how games are best consumed. When they become the be all and end all, and everything is through the filter of games, and you feel like every hot topic has to have its echo or its relation in games. This isn't no politics in games. Don't mistake it for that. But the way that people see, I don't know, just apply every thought in their head and every stance they have to video games. I don't necessarily see the need to do that. there's not many people treating them as the fun, goofy things they are. And I know that they can do more important things, and I know they can have powerful messages, and they can get those messages to audiences who don't consume them in any other media. But, I think there is, I've always loved the sillier side of games. The games journalism I grew up was really silly and had fun and understood that they were just a fun thing. And I think we sometimes lose that. And there isn't a lot of appetite for that. There should be more mystery Steam reviews, is what I'm saying. I don't know. I just like stupid, just dog shit stuff like that.
Well, I can't add to that in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, thank you very much, Thomas. Ryan in Tennessee got in touch. Ryan said, first of all, thank you for the Weekspot. I take in an unhealthy amount of podcasts and video game news, and the Weekspot was the podcast I look forward to the most. The strength of RPS to me is in the personalities. Everyone at RPS is clever and likeable, and I hope any future endeavours really lean into that strength. Listening to RPS podcasts is like hanging out with your pals and talking about your hobbies. It's a cosy place. Love and respect. I'll be there for whatever you guys do next. Ryan in Tennessee. Local fact, Chattanooga, Tennessee is home to the International Tow Truck Museum. Thank you very much for that, Ryan. I appreciate that. And thank you very much for
something of value was learnt in this episode.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ryan. Some lovely things you had to say there. That was nice. D. It's nice. There are a lot of familiar names popping up, but there are some kind of new names as well popping up. D said, hi, so sad to see it's the last episode as it's my favourite podcast video thing and became a highlight of my routine during a rough time. But I wish you both well in what you do next. Thank you very much, D. Very nice of you. And D says, my question is as follows. I know Colum's into music, so what's your music guilty pleasures? Kindest regards, D. So I find it hard to answer this question purely because I detest the term guilty pleasure. And it's very odd, right? And I will answer the question though.
After I've laid into it for a bit.
No, but thank you very much, D. But in terms, to be fair, D is using, it's a recognised term. Guilty pleasure, everyone uses it. So I appreciate that. I just myself don't like the term guilty pleasure because I'm at an age now where I'm like, I like what I like. You know, that's the end of it. And it's very odd. Guilty pleasure never seeped into games, and I don't know why. Because you've guilty pleasure, it's typically mainstream stuff. So mainstream pop music is seen as a guilty pleasure. Mainstream bombastic action films, silly action films are seen as a guilty pleasure. But for some reason, mainstream AAA bombastic video games aren't seen as a guilty pleasure. They're seen as just that's the thing you like. And I don't have an answer to that question. I don't know why the term guilty pleasure hasn't seeped into games. I hope it doesn't, because people should just like what you like, because whatever. But to answer your question, D, I like Pink. Just going with typically a guilty pleasure is pop, usually. I think Pink has a terrific voice and a career that not on the level of a Madonna in terms of stature or in how much she changes. But if you look at her career, she started as this sort of R&B songstress, went sort of kind of pop punky, and then went a bit sort of deep, and I'm writing songs about meaningful things, and then became I'm big ballad, powerful voice, I can show you that I can sing as good as any of the rest of them. So she would be one.
What is this? The Pink Weekspot?
I'm sorry, Matthew. I don't butt in when you're asked. Excuse me, Matthew. I have a question about a Japanese novel. So let me have my time, all right?
No, undermine it. I'm just I'm just riffing on a what I was trying to introduce as a catchphrase over the last few months. Is this the something Weekspot? I'm sorry to lean into my pool of catchphrases. I'll just sit here when you just mute me for the rest of it.
But yeah, I don't know, hair metal as well, if that's termed to kind of guilty pleasure. But yeah, that's enough. Matthew's getting bored, so I'll.
It was interesting. Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Have you any Japanese novel suggestions?
That isn't the question. That isn't the question.
No, this is a question from me. I'm just wondering, is there any guilty pleasures?
No.
All right.
They're all pleasures.
Thank you very much, Dee. Kendra and Zach got in touch. They said, Dear Colm and Matthew, first, let me say that my husband and I are sorry the era of Weekspot is coming to a close. We thoroughly enjoyed the podcast and listened together regularly. So I felt it was finally time to ask my burning question. Could you two do your best impersonations of each other? Maybe Matthew says something about the one with a warm arse, and Colm can talk about something being bespoke. A fun fact.
I feel very seen by that.
A fun fact about the area we live in is that once upon a time, it was the tobacco capital of the US, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. NC would be North Carolina, wouldn't it? I'm guessing. I should probably Google that. Since smoking has fallen out of fashion in recent decades, unused cigarette vending machines have been picked up by a local artist who restores them and fills them with cigarette pack-sized artwork from artists around the world for people to purchase. These artomats, as he calls them, dot our city and county and have begun making their way across the globe, with over 400 artists from 40 countries contributing. That's a cool local fact, Kendra and Zach. But yeah, they sign off. Thanks for all the great content, Kendra and Zach. Thank you very much. All right. Do you want me to say anything, Matthew, to get you ready? Is there any words you want me to say so that you can check for enunciation and tone?
Well, I wasn't going to go that deep with an impression.
But don't just give me. Like, don't just take the xenophobic box here now, right? Like, try and actually... I'm giving you free rein. It's very rare that an Irish person says to an English person, you're allowed to impersonate me now, but you can. And try and get my voice. Don't just do Alan Partridge doing Bono. Like, do...
What do you say? You say...
What would you like me to say?
I don't know. I'm just trying to think of a phrase which has got words that you say a lot.
Hello and welcome to the PC Gaming Weekspot.
Oh, yeah. So you go. I'm not very good at impressions. You say, hello and welcome to the PC Gaming Weekspot. That's what you say.
That is. You've got me there. Would you like to say anything else? Do you want me to?
I've said warm arse a few times.
You have?
One with the warm arse. You say that.
Could you do a sort of an unanimated, like, could you just say, like, you know, hello, hello, my name is Colm Ahern.
Hello, hello, my name is Colm Ahern.
Which one is the real one?
Who knows?
All right. Well, I could just talk about, a Japanese... Say my favourite Japanese author is somebody.
My favourite Japanese author is Keigo Higashino.
Keigo Higashino. Okay. I'll try. I don't want to give dead air. Bye.
Oh, fuck off. I'm not a fucking alien. Why do people always do that when they're doing an impression of me? They go for like I don't talk like that.
All right, yeah, that's my impression of Matthew. Thank you very much, Kendra and Zach.
It's a total contempt. I really gave you a good try.
I was trying to do... All right, well, I can try again, but yeah. I was trying to do yours as well. But anyway, yeah, thank you, Kendra and Zach. Clark got in touch. Clark said, first off, thank you for your commitment to the PC Gaming Weekspot. It's been a regular fixture of my week since the beginning, but thanks to my schedule, I could never watch when it premiered or even in one sitting. So it became a multi-evening event each week. Having the two of you talk about video games and windows in Bath and evils of edible coconut chocolate bars brought a delightful amount of levity to my week. The two of you have a great rapport and you'll be missed by me and many others. I don't know if we do any more after what just happened. But thanks again for doing a fantastic job. Thanks to you, I know who Chris Tarrant is from across the pond, Clark. Thank you very much, Clark. It's a very nice email. It
always cracks me up how few people know Chris Tarrant in the US and are just totally baffled by Mystery Steam reviews. They're like, why do they call each other Chris?
Because I feel like did Chris Tarrant never make? Because I could tell you that Regis Philbin presented. Well, and I don't know everything about Regis Philbin, but you know,
that's the all-conquering might of American pop culture.
I suppose fair. Our final question comes from Simon WL. And Simon says, Colm and Matthew, I only started listening to the podcast back in June, but it quickly became my favourite gaming-related podcast. Sad to see you go, but wishing you all the best with whatever may come next. I wanted to say thank you for all the laughs and interesting discussions by drawing a little fan art of the show. And I'll show you that in a second. I'm going to ask because he has questions for us. Also, since it's my last chance, I forced myself to come up with a burning question. I ended up with 2. Feel free to pick whichever one you prefer or draw them out randomly. You'll get both, Simon. You'll get both. So Simon's first question. What's the most ambitious creative endeavour you've executed in a game? Doesn't need to be something artistic. It can also be creative in terms of accomplishing a unique feat. Now, the problem is, Simon, you're talking to two fellas who don't really, when it comes to video games, we don't want to make our fun. We want the fun to be presented to us and then for us to judge the fun. So we're not exactly big Minecraft or, you know, like, can you think of anything, the most ambitious creative endeavour you've executed in the game? Because I won't lie, I'm struggling when it comes to, like, I don't know, creative endeavour.
Oh, yeah, that is a tough one. That is a toughie. What a tough final couple of burning questions.
Yes.
It's not PC related, but there was a game on the Nintendo DS called WarioWare DIY, where you made WarioWare games, which are obviously 3-second micro games where you do like one action, like pick a nose or hit a carrot or something. And we did a feature in the magazine I was working on, Endgamer, where we did like famous films as WarioWare games. And it sounds sinister, but there was there was one where you had to like cut the ear off in Reservoir Dogs, things like that. But I put a huge amount of time into something which was basically a spread of a magazine, but I must have worked on those for weeks and weeks. But they are on YouTube actually somewhere. You can go and watch. We've recorded them and put them on there, so you can look up like Endgamer WarioWare movies or something, and see the fruits of my labour.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a good one, Simon. I won't lie, but I do. Well, like I remember trying to make wrestlers in the first SmackDown game, and that was a pain because, well, one, they didn't look anything like them because you didn't have much control over the characters. But it was an era before you could just, I don't know, get the WWE 2K22 or whatever, type in AEW and then download every Kenny Omega and Young Bucks and Hangman Page and whatever. So you had to like make them yourself. And mine obviously looked like shit. So I mean, but it was ambitious nonetheless, I suppose, trying to create like separate rosters from the WWE.
Failed ambition also counts.
Correct. And Simon's second question is cosplay time. If you had to pick a game character to dress and act for an entire day, Which one would it be? Cheers from us, Austria, Simon WL. Thank you very much, Simon. So you have to dress as this character and act as them.
I mean...
Walking erection from Yakuza 0.
Yeah, that would be good. I guess, like... Yeah, it's not really PC. Like, Professor Layton's got a red... I'd try and pick a character who hasn't got anything too outrageous to wear.
Who hasn't got something outrageous to wear, is it? Because I was going the other way, and again, not a PC character. I can't think of a PC character who does there must be one that I'm just not thinking of, but just like Snorlax. Like, I'll wear a stupid like onesie, then I just sleep. I can sleep in the middle of the road, and people will be like, I guess we just have to leave him.
You get those people who cosplay as Sims, where they just have like the diamonds. Green sort of diamond above their head, and then they can wear whatever and be like, I'm a Sim. So you could do that. That would be a good fix. Yeah, I don't know. I must admit, I used to cover cosplay a fair amount on mags, and I'd always see them and be like, kind of envious of people who have the confidence to be able to like wear that get up in everyday life. Because obviously, when you're at the
well, it's not everyday life.
Well, not everyday life. Sorry, outdoors.
Yeah.
But like,
they're not going to the
EGX,
shops,
and there are loads of cosplayers there, and you don't like look twice. It's just like, oh, of course, there's cosplayers here. But I'm just too self-conscious, so I wouldn't be able to get on like an underground train, dressed up as
whoever. Yeah. I mean, if there were other people. Maybe by myself, I would be kind of a little bit weary to walk in as, I don't know, especially if it's kind of niche. Like if you're Mario or Sonic, then people will go, I know what that is. But if you're just dressed up as like Booker DeWitt or I don't know, so like somebody's going to be like, what the fuck is he doing? Or like, whomever. But yeah,
it looks fun though. I always thought it looked a lot of fun.
Thank you very much for that,
I don't have
Simon.
the guts for it. That isn't the question, but so it goes.
Now, I did want to show you because Simon sent us a bit of art.
Oh.
I have seen this, Matthew. You haven't seen it, so let me pull it up for you here. So yes, this is.
He hasn't drawn my face on Toblerone or something. It's not.
This is Simon WL's drawing of the PC Gaming Weekspot. Isn't that incredible?
Look at that.
Isn't that great? So for the people listening, myself and Matthew are sitting in Who Wants to Be a Millionaire-esque seats. You can see the Burning Questions man in the back on fire. I'm thinking about saying Doom. Matthew looks sinister. There's GLaDOS, I'm guessing because of the Portal store.
It's got Gabe's face.
It does have Gabe's face.
That's Huw Edwards. Is that Huw Edwards behind us?
Maybe? I'm not sure.
I think that is Huw Edwards.
Is it Huw Edwards?
Yeah.
An absolute masterpiece. So yes,
I'll tell you what, I've got quite a belly in that picture.
Come here. Simon has given me my pre-pandemic physique, so thank you very much. Thank you very much for that, Simon.
That's amazing. What an amazing thing.
Yeah,
thank you so
terrific.
much.
So yeah, thank you very much. I like properly blown away when I saw that. That looks like, I mean, to my untrained eye, it looks like a lot of work. So yeah, thank you very much, Simon. Very nice of you. And thank you very much to everyone that has sent in a burning question. All of you, I could rattle off names, but again, I don't want to because I will forget somebody. But I did want to give a special mention to, when it comes to the video version of the Weekspot, to our YouTube moderator, Ben, who has been an absolute marvel on Tuesday evenings, even Monday evenings for a bit, Tuesday afternoons for a bit, Ben is an absolute hero. So yeah, thank you very much, Ben. Genuinely. You and Mog, 2 legends. You're all legends. Matthew, I'm doing it again. And I don't want to make people upset. So yeah, that's it basically. I guess I'll do plugs for Rock Paper Shotgun and for us as well. If you want more of us, there are ways to get more. And I'll actually do, we'll do special plugs later. But other plugs, you can follow me on Twitter at Colm_Ahern, Matthews at Mr. Basil_Pesto, Rock Paper Shotgun is at Rock Paper Shot. If you want to talk to some like-minded people, some lovely people, go to discord.gg/Rock Paper Shotgun. If you want to have a look at this beautiful art from Simon and the rest of this episode of the PC Gaming Weekspot, go to youtube.com/Rock Paper Shot. If you want to subscribe to RPS's podcasts, of which there are 2 now, go listen to them. The Electronic Wireless Show and Ultimate Audio Bang. Search for them on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. And Matthew is he's still going to be on the Electronic Wireless Show with Nate and Alice. So go subscribe and listen to that. If you want some RPS threads, as the kids say, go to store.repop.com. Click on the little RPS logo. If you want to support Rock Paper Shotgun, go to rockpapershotgun.com/subscribe, where you can get an ad-free website, you can get extra podcasts, you can get extra articles, loads of stuff. Great deal. Do that. But if you don't want to do that, and you just want to read the regular stuff and view the videos and listen to the podcasts, go to rockpapershotgun.com for all of your PC gaming needs. That's it. That's the weak spot done. I said plug other stuff because when you left, when I thought you were gone from Rock Paper Shotgun, you plugged your other podcast. But look, Matthew, the floor is yours. Where can people listen to you talk about video games things?
Well, I still do the Electronic Wireless Show with RPS, which comes out every Thursday. I do that with Alice and Nate, which is fun. And I have my own podcast with an old colleague of mine called Samuel Roberts called The Back Page, a video games podcast. It's sort of about, it started off being about our time on games magazines, like when we were both journos. And it's more generally about the kind of games we covered in that period. So if you're really into games between 2006 and 2014, it kind of really digs into a lot of that. Lots of lists, lots of silliness. I really enjoy doing it. Please come and listen. I'd appreciate it.
Do go subscribe and listen to that. And you can listen to me if you want, not talk about video games, but talk about sports movies.
What?
You can listen to Balls on Film, which was a title I fought against, but then I was like, no, it's actually quite good, and also set to the Girls on Film song. Also, it's decent. So yeah, go subscribe please to Balls on Film, where myself and 2 other lads talk about sports movies and break down the depiction of the sport in them, the performances. We try and find meaning in some films where clearly there is no meaning, such as Racing Stripes and Caddyshack and others. So yeah, go subscribe to that, listen to that. That would be great. Thank you very much. And done all the other plugs. Just trying to get all my ducks in a row here now. Make sure I have everything. So yeah, thank you very much to everyone who has listened to an episode of the PC Gaming Weekspot. Anyone who has watched an episode of the PC Gaming Weekspot. The little magazine weekly podcast that could and did. Mostly. So yeah, thank you very much, everyone. And also, thank you very much, Matthew. As I say, it was... I wrestled with you and Graham a little bit to try and get this thing greenlit, but eventually, when everyone was on board, I think it was like, yes, this is decent. This is a decent way to spend 2 hours.
This is entirely your work. I can't believe we almost didn't do this because I'm an idiot.
No, but I'm glad, yourself and Graham eventually said we'd do it. And I'm glad that the company gave you some freelance cash so that we could continue to do it. And yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. And
yes, likewise, a lot of fun. Thank you for having me for this last year.
no problem at all. It's been an absolute pleasure as well. So yeah, it's typically when you get to the end of these things, you're trying to make sure you say all the right stuff, and then you're like, no, I cannot say bye, but indeed it is. The saddest part of the show, Matthew, my least favourite part of the show. This is indeed the part of the show where we must bid the listener, the viewer, adieu. So say goodbye, Matthew Casson.
Goodbye.
And say goodbye, Colin Mahern. Go raibh míle maith agat agus slán. Go fóill.